As you all know, this is where we talk about the business of NANOG as opposed to the technical content, the organizations that make things happen, and where we get a chance to interact with the rest of the community to figure out what we want to be and where we should go from here. Quick agenda, I'll give a steering committee report. Dave Meyer will give a program committee report. Somebody hopefully will give a communications committee report. CQ marketing working group. Andy Rosenzweig will talk about what's happening at Merit, and then we'll get into the transition to NANOG. The usual reminder, this is a meeting for all of us. We want a dialogue rather than a lecture. Please step up to the mics. First of all, the steering committee are the people with the blue badges who will stand up if they're not already up here and wave to everybody so you know who we are. We are the equivalent of a board of directors, and soon we will be a board of directors. So we conducted the business aspects of NANOG. Magic, okay. Since NANOG 50, we've been spending most of our time working on the transition planning to the NANOG organization taking over the Merit, taking over the NANOG activity from Merit. And of course, while doing that, we've been conducting the usual business of making sure that we're ready for this meeting and future meetings coming up. After this meeting, we need to, of course, continue planning for future meetings. And we're going to complete the transition of the activity into NANOG. And we'll have more details on that in the second batch of slides later. There's a bunch of mailing lists that you can join if you feel like it. The top one, of course, is the main list for network operations and engineering. That's part of the main reason this group exists. NANOG Futures is meta discussion about NANOG as an entity. That's where the NANOG discussions happen as well. And there's a whole bunch of other mailing lists, and if you're interested, look on the web. Next up is Dave Meyer, who will give us a brief overview of what's been happening with the program committee. And Dave will give his talk from that microphone if it turns on. There it goes.
Okay, I could do it from here because I'm going to continue my tradition of not having any slides to bore you with. But here's a list of the program committee members. You can find them by the yellow on their badge. So track any of these people down if you have questions about how the program committee operates. I did want to say a few things. First off, if you're a newcomer, make the newcomer breakfast tomorrow morning. That's always a good time. And secondly, everybody remember that NANOG is about us, and all of the material we get from you guys. So start thinking about 52 now. We need, it's a long time and a long path usually to get the agenda, but the earlier we get the stuff, the better off we are. So think about that.
Okay, thanks, Dave. Any questions for Dave on the program committee or for me on the steering committee for that matter?
Definitely track us down if you do have questions.
Yeah. And while we're talking, don't be shy if you have something to ask. Jump up, stand on a microphone, and ask it. Next is our Communications Committee report. Mike Smith, who's the chair, couldn't be here, and I think he tried to appoint a proxy to present for him. But if not, I will read the email that he sent. Since nobody is jumping up to volunteer, I will... Just a moment here. Okay. Here is what Mike said about the Communications Committee. The Communications Committee is, if you don't already know, is responsible for the mailing lists and a few other things, but mostly the mailing list. He says, the list continues on as usual. Subscription levels remain essentially unchanged. It's around 10,000 people. 3 users had revoked posting privileges, I guess since the last meeting, and 1 person was almost banned, but the AUP process worked. Upcoming changes. Beginning in March, we will begin the process of moving the website and mailing list over to NANOG. We will do everything we can to minimize downtime. Then he talks, if you're in charge of DNS details for your organization or have access to those that do, please listen to the announcements to what's in our records so that when the transition happens, your users will notice it quickly. Mailing list structure will stay unchanged. It won't be necessary to reapply to the NANOG list, although there will be a message sent before the transition happens explaining that it's going to happen, so you have a chance to unsubscribe if you, for some reason, feel you need to then. There will be new lists for NANOG members, and if you have any suggestions for changes or the website, talk to Mike or anyone on the Communications Committee and they will help you. So that paraphrased is what he sent in his email, and he also apologizes for not being here and assures us that our weather here is much better than what he's having in Seattle right now. So any questions that I can't answer because he's not here? Okay. Here's what I should have put up while I was talking. Here's the list of people who are on the Communications Committee. I want to personally thank them for doing this. It's pretty much a thankless job, acting as mailing list police, essentially. They only get noticed when they have to sit on somebody for doing the wrong thing. Yes. All right. CQ is the chair of our marketing working group. He has a set of slides later in the NANOG section which cover both what's been happening up through this meeting, what's going to be happening in the future, so it seemed easier to just combine the two, so I will let him give that part of it later. But while we're here, this is the list of marketing working group members. Again, if you don't know already, the marketing working group is responsible for seeking out sponsors, defining new sponsorship opportunities beyond the classic beer and gear and some of the tables that you see outside. And it's transitioning into what's going to be called the Development Working Group in the NANOG organization. Next up is Andy, who will give us a report on what's happening at Merit at the moment. And,
we want to start, as always, by thanking the host of the meeting, in this case, TerraMark. TerraMark now hosting their 4th NANOG meeting and always do an excellent job in finding an excellent venue and making us feel very welcome here. Every NANOG host has the job of setting up a network within the location that they've selected, providing the electrical service that you see at your tables in front of you, providing volunteers to help staff registration and other duties. The host often also takes the opportunity to throw a party for attendees, and you will enjoy that tomorrow evening following Beer and Gear. So a big thank you to Josh Snowhorn and his friends at TerraMark. Many other contributors to this meeting. Aaron, as always, contributes funding to help support the broadcast and archiving of NANOG meetings. AT&T has provided the network, including the local loop and IP service. Hurricane Electric is providing IPv6 service. Internet 2 has provided 10 wireless access points. JINET Solutions has contributed 3 Juniper switches that will be survey giveaways. So each day of the meeting you can complete a survey to let us know how the meeting is going for you. And if you are selected, you will eventually receive in the mail a brand new Juniper switch. And TerraMark, in addition to hosting the meeting, has also sponsored the name tag lanyards. Every NANOG meeting also benefits from the input of lots of supportive sponsors. Listed here are the 10 sponsors of Beer and Gear: Alcatel-Lucent, Arbor Networks, Carradine, Cisco, FPL FiberNet, Merit RADB, Network Hardware Resale, OSI Hardware, PCCW Global, and Subspace Communications. The Beer and Gear sponsors also double as the sponsors of morning breakfasts. Thanks as well to the break sponsors: Excedia Networks, LoNap, Myriad Supply, PACnet, Prolexic Technologies, and XKL. Thanks to all the sponsors of this meeting. While we're talking about NANOG 51, I'll give some of the statistics about who's with us at this meeting. These numbers are about 3 hours out of date, so they're a little bit different now. 503 total attendees is now about 515, so that's a very strong attendance for a February meeting. Of those 503, 409 paid, 94 waived for being hosts or sponsors or speakers. 153 newcomers. Pretty consistently, we've been getting about 30% first-time attendees. So if you see people who don't quite know where they're going, help them out and welcome the newcomers. 7 students are among us. There are 26 countries represented, which account for 92 attendees who are from outside the U.S. and Canada, as well as 33 U.S. states plus District of Columbia. I want to acknowledge the Merit Network team who look after all of the details that go into putting a meeting like this together. With us here at NANOG 51 are Larry Blunk, David Gilbertson, Sue Joyner, Don Kahn, Carol Wadsworth, and Mike Zawacki. And joining us as well from Davenport University in Grand Rapids, Michigan is Pete Hofswell, as well as Fawn Callan from Western Michigan University. Let's give them a hand. I can also do a recap of NANOG 50, which was in October in Atlanta. We had 470 total attendees, 357 paid, 113 waived, 133 newcomers, again about 30%, 13 students, 21 countries, 32 U.S. states. So we are indeed coming from all over. A very positive financial result from that meeting, revenue of $346, expenses of about $320, so a bottom line of about $26,000. That the result of strong attendance, strong sponsorship, and lower hosting costs than you might find in some other cities. So an excellent result there. That's the end of my comments.
Okay. Funny how we don't get up and grill him when there's a surplus, only when there's a deficit. Okay, now we're going to move on to the NANOG transition portion of the meeting. First of all, is anybody out there who has not yet heard the word NUNOG? Oh, good. Okay, so we've been working on this now for close to a year. The transition is pretty much in its last stages, and will be complete by the time we show up for NANOG 52 in Denver. We'll give a report of what we've been up to and what we're going to do next. So, since our last meeting, we've been pretty busy. In October, we started our search for an executive director. We put out bids for venues for NANOGs 54 and 55, which are the first 2 meetings in 2012, I believe. We held elections during which the concept of NUNOG was ratified and a set of bylaws was adopted, and we adopted a budget. In November, we did most of the work in the executive director selection process, including starting interviewing people, and we worked on the contract with Merit for handling all the logistics for the next meeting in Denver. Which is good news because it means that you'll show up in Denver and things will look substantially like they do here. Things will actually work the way we expect them to. So thanks to Merit and the people who, on the NUNOG side, who helped negotiate successfully the agreement to do that. In December, we executed that contract. We signed a contract for NANOG 54, which is the meeting a year from now in San Diego. And we started putting out bids for a venue for 56. We adopted the sponsorship model, which is, we'll get into more detail during CQ's section, so I don't need to go into it. And we adopted a membership structure. Now you can join NUNOG. You can pay your $100 and be a member, which gives you voting privileges and the ability to say, I'm part of this. January, big significant thing that happened in January. We hired an executive director. Betty, could you stand up for a moment, please? Betty Burke is our executive director. She's a full voting member of the board as well. So we look forward to working with Betty for the 18 months of her contract and making sure that things actually happen. We now have 6 board members who think about stuff and 1 person who actually makes it all happen. It really shouldn't work that way, but you never know. But Betty is full-time working for us. This is her job, and we know that with her we'll be very successful. We met with Merritt. Sylvie and I traveled to Ann Arbor, enjoyed some decent weather for Michigan, and had a really successful meeting. We agreed that we're going to take ownership of the 2 servers that host the mailing list in nanog.org. We're going to take ownership of the router that all your traffic is going through right now. Those have been used exclusively for NANOG projects for years, so it makes sense. We worked on planning transition steps, how to move the data, how to get everything over. Don't see it mentioned here. Let me skip ahead 1 slide to make sure. Actually, no, I won't. A large part of the meeting was talking about an intellectual property agreement to transfer the NANOG trademark and all the associated content that goes around it. We came to an informal agreement on that, so the transfer will happen, we expect, subject only to the lawyers reviewing it at this point, I think. So keep your fingers crossed that the lawyers don't say anything we don't want. We've confirmed 2 diamond level sponsors. This is big. It actually gives us a large cushion of cash that we can use to pay deposits on future hotel contracts and otherwise operate the corporation of NANOG, which we need. We'll start getting revenues when we run our first meeting in June, but until then we need a reserve to work from, and these 2 sponsorships will give us the basis for that. It's not to say that we're not welcoming more sponsors, but the first 2 really is a big turning point for us. Okay, I'm going to now let Sylvie, who's our vice chair, give the rest of the slides, since she wants to get up and talk too.
So as Steve said, our next steps, which is a big milestone, but it's coming in the next few weeks, is to sign the agreement with Merritt with the assignment of the NANOG materials and marks. So, which means that the NANOG name and the mark will now be transferred over to NANOG. All the NANOG org and pcnanog.org, the website content, the underlying programming, the meeting archives will also be transferred over. So these are really big steps, and it takes a lot of coordination. So big task ahead of us. All the mailing lists and its contents will also be transferred over. We're also finalizing our financial controls policy, which will be adopted probably early February. So in terms of next activities, the big task ahead of us are we're putting out an RFP for this association and the conference management. The RFP will be issued in the week of February 7th, so right after this NANOG. The proposals will be due in 3 weeks. Then we'll have an initial screening. We'll have until March 7 to screen all the proposals. We'll have to do due diligence 2 weeks after that. Make a recommendation of 1 or more vendors to the board of directors. Then start the selection and the negotiation of contract. And then establish the transition process for May 9th. So as you can tell, we're trying to do all of this before NANOG 52 happens. And we'll start the formal operation start date at June 30th, so after the close of NANOG 52. Marketing and development update, Chris Casada, please.
So we'll be transitioning the marketing working group into the development working group, and what the marketing working group did was basically promote sponsorship through each of the NANOGs. In San Francisco, we promoted, well, actually from Austin to San Francisco, we promoted attendance. And in San Francisco, we also took an initial step of meeting with our sponsors and having them meet with the sponsor of the next NANOG. This actually worked out very well for us, and as you can see, Atlanta turned out to be very, very profitable for us as well. In Atlanta, we pretty much took the same steps to promote and move that forward here into Miami. And Miami, we're not going to stop there, and we'll keep on moving. But we will change the name, and little functions will change too. So the new NOG development working group, like I said, we'll continue to proactively seek sponsors, but we'll also be developing new sponsorship programs and promoting event awareness outside of our normal attendees. One of the things that we will also be looking for is opportunities to join the development working group, and here's your opportunity to join one of our working groups within NUNOG for the benefit of NANOG. Our sponsorship levels was one of the things that we added. This is a guaranteed sponsorship for the event year, meaning that we are basically taking our sponsors, and most of them that come to all of our events in a year, and asking them to join one of our programs to where they commit to all 3 events up front. Our sponsorship levels go from bronze, silver, gold, and up to diamond. The new sponsorship opportunities and benefits that we've added, the NOG Lab basically allows us to explore new sponsorship opportunities. And we definitely want you to go out there, and you can benefit us by promoting to your marketing departments opportunities here at NANOG. So to talk about our 2 sponsors, the diamond sponsors that we got for the 2011 to 2012 calendar year, Google and NTT America most graciously joined our diamond sponsor program. So you understand our levels of sponsorship. Our diamond program starts at $75K. So we were very happy to have those 2 sponsors join with us. And finance update.
Hello. I'm Dwayne. I'm the NUNOG treasurer. So I have a few slides with some $ and numbers on them. As of the end of 2010, our income was just under $13,000. Those were all donations, mostly individual donations. Our expenses were just under $6,000. Most of that was a deposit on a hotel for NANOG 52 and some fees for applying for the nonprofit status. Here's a breakdown of donations received to date, or actually as of a few days ago. One corporate donation in the amount of $1,000, and the rest individual donations as shown there.
Who donated 9 cents?
It wasn't exactly 9 cents, but it did end with 9 cents. Yes, I'll be happy to talk to you about that privately, I guess. I did not get to the bottom of that. And as of a couple of weeks ago, we began accepting memberships, and these numbers represent our memberships as of, again, 2 or 3 days ago. And since then, I'm happy to say this has about doubled. So we had a number of people sign up today and a couple yesterday. So we're on the order of about 15, 16 members right now. Here are our account balances as of a few days ago. In the sort of the main operating account, a little over $7,000, and in our account that has the loan from Aaron, you see the number there, $21,000. believe this is my last slide, so thank you very much.
So now to make sure that NANOG continues, some update on the next conferences. So NANOG 52 will be hosted by Alcatel-Lucent in Denver. We also have NANOG 53 joined with Aaron, hosted by Comcast and held in Philadelphia. We have a hotel contracted for NANOG 54, it's only a year away, in San Diego, February 5 to the 8th, and the host still to be announced. NANOG 55 is in progress, and NANOG 56 and with Aaron is also in progress. So 2 years out are planned. So what can you do? So you can become a member of this new organization today. Go pay your dues at nanog.org, and that gives you the privilege of voting in annual elections. This new system is more inclusive than previously. If you remember, to vote in our elections previously, you had to have attended one NANOG meeting. Now you can be a member of the mailing list and have the same voting privilege. You need to be a member to serve on a committee, and you also get a discount on your conference registration fee. What else can you do? You can prepare a talk for an upcoming NANOG. You can motivate your organization to sponsor. Chris outlined a great plan. You can talk to Chris and the marketing working group and look at all the options that are available. You can also consider standing in the fall elections. Look at your time commitment. There are many openings. And any volunteering idea that you might have, come and talk to Betty, our new executive director. Thank you.
So that's the end of our prepared slides. At this point, I'll ask once again if there are any questions or comments, or anybody want to throw fruit at us or anything? Or drinks, yeah. Nope. All right then. This was a nice, quick, non-controversial meeting, and the kind that I like. Thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of NANOG.